Good morning, everybody. Good morning, boys and girls. I am so glad to see you guys today. Happy Independent Bookstore Day. We are celebrating indie bookstores all over today, and we're doing it in a very special way. I have a very special guest that you're going to meet in just a moment, but let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to story time at our store. We're so glad you came to read and explore. Now, open those eyes and turn up those ears because you never know who or what will appear. Today, I am absolutely honored and excited to introduce you to a very special picture book, Saving American Beach. And did you know that this beach that we're talking about in this book is right here on our very own island? It is the biography of African American environmentalist MaVynee Betsch. And I knew her when I was little as Miss MaVynee, the beach lady. I am going to introduce you in just a moment to Miss Heidi Tyline King, who is the author of the book. Our illustrator, getting used to this, is Yuka Holmes. And Heidi,
Good morning.
welcome. Good morning.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
I am so excited to have you with us today. This is your first picture book, first children's book. And I am just really excited that it's about Miss MaVynee and it's about American Beach here at Amelia Island. So I thought I'd let you go ahead and read the book to us, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about it afterward.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I have the book here, but to make it a little easier for everybody, I have the book and I'll share my screen so you can see the illustrations as I read. So let me get back to where I was. Can you see my screen?
I can see it.
Okay. So I'll start on the first page. As a girl, MaVynee Betsch loved the beach. She loved the whoosh of its waves, its blue sky stretching to forever, and the creatures swimming in its tangy sea. But MaVynee couldn't go to just any beach. Because of her skin, silken and butter brown, she couldn't eat in most restaurants or visit most bathrooms. There was even a rope in the ocean. One side said colored, the other white. Something must be done, her great-grandfather said. And so Mr. Abraham Lincoln Lewis bought a beach. It was an ocean paradise where his family and other Black people could swim, picnic, and build sandcastles. He believed a beach should be open to everyone. In no time, American Beach was hopping. MaVynee adored her beach. At water's edge, the sandy shore became a stage. For each performance, the wind whispered an endless melody of gull cries and laughter. It made her heart sing. When she grew up, MaVynee discovered the same music in the opera. She left her beloved beach to sing stories around the world. From London to Berlin, audiences sprang to their feet, demanding an encore. Brava, they cried, beating the stage with their hands, whipping velvet curtains into rippling waves. But after the crowds went home and the stage lights dimmed, she longed for her beach. When her mother became sick, she packed her suitcase and returned home to care for her. Soon after, her mother died. MaVynee spent her days sitting along the shore, wrapped in a blanket of sadness. She sat and sat. So much had changed since her childhood days on American Beach. Summer houses crumbled, bleached white as fish bones. Plastic bags littered the dunes, tangled in seagrass. The rope dividing the ocean had disappeared. There was no more need for a place like American Beach. Determined to save what remained, MaVynee became the caretaker for American Beach. She picked up trash, planted trees, and remembered colorful stories about its early days when Zora Neale Hurston sunbathed on the sand and Ray Charles juked the local joints. She made American Beach her home. Each morning she bathed in the Atlantic Ocean. Each night she went to sleep on a chaise lounge to a lullaby of lapping waves. When she needed to think, she climbed atop the beach's 60-foot-high sand dune, her sacred place, one of the tallest dunes on America's east coast. Strong and soft, she named it Nana, a Ghanaian word for grandmother. Before long, builders eyed American Beach as a perfect place for condos. The staccato of jackhammers replaced the whoosh of its waves. Trilling backhoes silenced the wind's endless melody. MaVynee was heartbroken. Nana cried out to her in her dreams, "Something must be done." She drew a line in the sand. MaVynee was saving more than a beach. She pinned protest buttons to her clothes, wore seashell necklaces, and in a burst of creative protest, she grew her hair. 7 feet long and knotted together, a thick rope of silver gray. She draped it over her arm or carried it around in a suitcase. Some days, her hair reminded her of an elephant's trunk. On other days, the curve of the Niger River in Africa. It was hard to tell where the beach lady stopped and her beach began. The madder she grew, the braver she got. She squabbled with city commissioners, wrote letters to lawmakers, and marched to Tallahassee to fuss at the governor. Her letters went unanswered. The beach lady stood in the scorching heat, alone. No one cared what the prima donna of protest had to say. More than a few people questioned the beach lady's demands. Others were proud of her pluck. Years passed. Soon, all that was left was a sliver of sand, cocooned by palmettos, hugged by live oaks. People missed the beach. The beach lady inspired others to write their own letters and paint their own picket signs. Together, they petitioned the president, George W. Bush, to sign a law protecting American Beach forever. When the beach lady died, friends and family scattered her ashes on Nana. Her wish came true, to spend forever enjoying American Beach, where a piece of paradise remains and the melody continues. Thank you. I think you're on mute.
I am. Here we go with live. That was beautiful, Heidi. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I almost cried reading this book. You do such a beautiful job of, like you said, explaining a story that has so many more layers to it, so much more. But just giving us a taste of it. What inspired you to want to write this particular story and make it a children's book? I know this is your first children's book, so what inspired that?
So I learned about this story from my daughter, who was in 3rd grade at the time and had to choose an inspiring Floridian to write an essay about. And my advice to kids when you're asked to write something is don't pick some boring subject. So it was really important for me to help her find somebody who she could look up to, but that had an interesting life. And so that's how we discovered the beach lady. And I just thought about her for a long time before I actually sat down and wrote the story. And it was a long time writing. You think writing a children's book sometimes is a very short process, but it's almost harder to write a children's story than writing a full-length book because you have to put so much in so few words.
Yeah, I agree. So just what was the beginning of that process? I mean, you decided, you thought about it, and then you wanted to sit down and write it. So where did you start? Did you visit the island, American Beach first, or?
Right. Well, I think it's the same with history. I think sometimes kids can think history can be a really boring subject, but to me, history is like getting the best true story or the gossip, researching and being a spy really, because you're trying to go out and put all these pieces together. So I went to the beach to see what it looked like now. I went to the state archives that we have in Tallahassee to read about the different news clippings that they had, to see pictures that they had of her on file. Did she really come to the Capitol and fuss at the governor? Well, yes, she did. There are news articles that tell you about that. So it was important for me to kind of do all that research and snoop around. And I think the more research you do, sometimes it just makes it easier for you to write the story.
Mm.
A good example is I found this really obscure review of her when she sang in Germany. And one of the reviewers wrote about the people standing up after she sang and beating on the curtains like waves. So I didn't make that up. That was like an easy gift to me to add to the book. And it just sort of complemented the music that I thought I really heard and felt throughout the story too.
Wow. So I have to ask you, what is your favorite page maybe in the book? Do you have a favorite page?
You know, I do.
Oh, that's a
I
good
don't know
one.
why. I love that picture of
I
her
do
with her
too.
grandfather and Equa, the illustrator. Um, it's funny when you write a children's book, you don't get to choose your illustrator.
Okay.
So you're thinking, who's going to take my story and is she going to do a good job with it? And
She did a beautiful
she did
job.
it beyond my wildest dreams. And so, I did pass along some memorabilia and different images and things that I found. And, for example, there are these playbooks, like on this page.
Yeah.
Let me come back over here. But like you see here, these are real little things that she found and that she just sort of added in. And you'll see other little musical notes. And
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody's caught this yet, but I just think this is such a cool thing. Her dress, um, when she's dancing on stage here.
Mhm.
I don't know if anybody recognizes this dress, but
Oh,
it's a clipping of Michelle Obama's
I
dress
was
in her
that I
picture.
see it now. I do see it
Yeah.
now. Wow.
So there are little like things all throughout that just sort of reflect,
Yeah,
Black history, American history, the beach history, and all of that was MaVynee. So
I agree. You cannot read this book once. You would have to read it over and over, and you would see different things, different parts of her. And it's just amazing. I remember her wearing the buttons everywhere. And, because I was younger, I had no idea at the time what all that meant. But now looking
right.
back, I'm going, oh, that
Yeah, no,
was part of her protest. That was part of what she was trying to do to save the American beach, and it's just awesome. And how did you pronounce the illustrators? Equa?
Equa
Equa.
Homes.
Equa Holmes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to get that right. I like to get names right. Um, but she just did a beautiful job. I mean, the
Oh,
two of you matched up just perfectly with this. So I know we have to go in just a few, but I just want to just ask you if you have any final word for everybody about the book.
Well, I think the one thing I love about the Beach Lady is she did things unconventionally. And I think that's a great lesson for kids is you don't have to do anything like anybody else. Be yourself and change the world because of who you are and do it your way.
I agree. I agree. And I know as grown-ups we struggle with that a little bit, but kids
Yeah.
they
And
do latch on to that.
yeah.
Well, Heidi, I cannot say thank you enough for just providing and giving us your time this morning and just being a part of our Independent Bookstore Day celebration and just writing this book, giving us something to look at. Um, I want everybody to know that this book is on sale in both of your independent bookstores. So you can purchase it. And there is some wonderful back matter that tells you a little bit more about the history of American Beach and an author's note from Heidi and from Ekla. Um, and make sure that if you don't know about American Beach, you go visit. And if you can even get into the American Beach Museum and just check it out. They also have a website that you can visit that has a lot of great information about the beach that I've discovered just recently. So again, Heidi, thank you so, so much. Everyone out there, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting your local bookstore. And I hope to see you next week for another story. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks.